Are you prepared to grow your business today? Stay tuned for what's about to occur. This is the Razor Sharp Show with your host, Ray Milidani. Stay tuned as Ray invites business owners and entrepreneurs onto the show from all over the world to discuss how they are owning this economy and how you can as well. Are you ready to sharpen your saw? Here's your host, Ray Milidani.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are in the world joining us. This is the Razor Sharp Show, and I'm your host, Ray Milidani. What a crazy show I have for you today. Today we meet Kristian Stephan-Martin. That's Kristian with a K. So in today's episode, not only do we cover business, but we go deeper, and it's something a little bit more in regards to emotion and, overcoming the fear. I can't wait for you to meet Kristian and hear all the knowledge that he has to share. At a very young age, Kristian had a bit of an identity crisis, and he had doubt and feeling that he was inadequate. And he goes deep and shares his story today, and I think you'll be touched and inspired by what Kristian has been able to create. And because he didn't want other people to go through what he did, he started a business, and he really turned his experience and passion into his business venture and started a coaching career, helping other people ease their doubt, fear, and feelings of inadequate. I'm super excited to have Kristian on the show today. I think it's a topic that as entrepreneurs we don't speak about enough, and this is the type of shows that I want to be running and people I want to be meeting along the journey. Super excited for you to meet Kristian, so let's jump into the show. Today I'm joined by Kristian Stephan-Martin. Now that's Kristian with a K. Kristian, how you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Excellent, welcome. Are you ready to sharpen some saws?
Always.
Kristian, tell us what you do and why you do it.
Sure. So I help people erase their feelings of inadequacy. So any tangent of I'm not enough, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm not smart enough, I need another degree. So any realm of I'm not enough, any doubt, any fear. And what I find is when you erase that, confidence naturally takes its place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so instead of I really like the metaphor of, imagine if you got in your car and you went to drive somewhere and you put your foot on the accelerator, but you didn't go anywhere. You look down and the handbrake is on.
Yeah.
And you're like, huh. So like the destination, you've let's say you've punched in like Combi in Elwood, raw vegan food bar. You want to go to Combi. That's your destination. That's where you want to arrive at. To me, that destination is our hopes, our dreams, our desires. And most people do have some kind of vision or desire for something they want that they don't currently have.
Yeah.
And if you leave the handbrake on, but then try to accelerate harder, you're just going to spin the tires out and you're going to smoke the engine, and you're going to ruin the car essentially. So what I do is help people just take the handbrake off.
Awesome.
So it's almost like instead of instilling a new motor into someone,
Yep.
I just take away the resistance or the belief that they're not already confident.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. And I think today we're going to really enjoy listening to Kristian raise the community, because it comes from a space that, is a little bit different than the business tips, tricks and techniques. It goes a little bit deeper. And I've always enjoyed catching up with Kristian and having conversations, because it definitely is about having what you know already instilled in you. And I love that analogy that you use about taking off the handbrake, because I think too many times entrepreneurs are trying to do things and they feel like they don't know enough, or they're too young, or they need a degree, and that does really get in the way of success. So I'm really interested to dive deeper into this, and please share whatever you know and however you feel comfortable. But let's get to know you a little bit better. What has been a little bit of your background, and why did you get into coaching this?
Sure. So I was a good athlete, like a high level athlete. Pretty good at everything at school, essentially. But I grew up, like circumstances as have it. My parents divorced when I was 2. I'm an only child, lived with my mum. Sure. I grew up and there were certain things that I developed this perception of myself that I was not very masculine. Mm-hmm. So I didn't play Aussie rules footy. I hate drinking. I hate the taste of beer. And have never really had an interest in going out and getting smashed on the weekend and seeing how many girls I can pick up and stuff. Yeah. I'm okay with emotions. Like I understand that each person has emotions and feelings, and I don't hide them, or I'm not disconnected, I would say, as many Australian males are. So that stereotype of drink beer, play footy, rough, don't cry, got to be strong. Yeah. I didn't fit that. And so I felt like I wasn't masculine. Right. And, being great at basketball, being a great student, the only area that I really held myself back in was with, girls during high school and women during early 20s. Yeah. And for me, I can't stand holding myself back. So it's only a thought. It's only this thought and this feeling that I'm having. There's literally nothing else. So I'd rather step out and ask that girl out, or ask for a number, or even just open the conversation. It doesn't have to result in getting a number or anything. And right now I'm in a beautiful relationship as it is, but this is what it used to be like for me. Yeah, yeah. I'd rather step out and break out of what I call my comfort cage instead of my comfort zone.
Nice.
Than just stay right here. I couldn't stand just staying right here and wondering what if.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And I think there's a great share, something really personal and deep. And you've created a business venture out of it, which is a great story in itself. There's a lot of entrepreneurs where they're sitting there not knowing what to do their business venture on. And here's an example of, taking your personal experience and things that you've gone through, learning to overcome them, and now impacting and touching other people's lives, which is amazing. So well done. And thank you for doing that, because I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs that sit there and struggle and they don't know what to do and how to do it. And your story about, your experience about, trying to give you a conversation with a girl, or, getting phone numbers and things like that. I think, it's very much the similar situation where there'll be a lot of people who might not be a girl, but it might be a business venture, or it might be at a networking night, and they don't know how to go up to someone because they think, well, I'm too young and they're not going to respect me. And, I think it's beautiful in the way that your story can actually be very easily translated into the business world, and for people feeling that they're not good enough, and what does that actually mean that you're missing out on as a successful entrepreneur? So with your coaching, is it one-on-one? Is it group coaching? How do you coach your audience?
Yeah, so a lot of one-on-one coaching. Mm-hmm. I also do workshops and retreats, and cool. They, at the moment, they don't have a schedule. So it's when the inspiration comes, let's get it on.
Awesome. Great. Perfect. And I think the one-to-many from a retreat and workshop is a good way of impacting a larger number of audience, but then niching down to a one-on-one session later on, which is great. So let's get to know you a little bit better. What is something that you've crossed off your list today?
Today, I haven't got a list for today.
Awesome.
Matter of fact, I have. Real. Yeah, I've got a calendar, just client sessions and meet and greets and whatnot. But today, I haven't made a list.
Awesome. No worries. Great. Well, maybe you can cross off doing the podcast after this. So that's great. When did you know that you were wired to be in business and work for yourself?
Sure. I think that one of the earliest memories I have is... I feel like this is the response everyone's probably going to give, but I did read the 4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
And I mean, from a young age, I was into performance. So I was always trying to get better at basketball. And that led me to study psychology, nutrition, strength and conditioning. So at a quite early age, earlier than most, I was exposed to a holistic method of health and performance.
Awesome.
And I naturally gravitated towards the mental, emotional work in that. But also one of the things was the whole freedom lifestyle and lifestyle development realm of life. And I just was like, who wouldn't want to work for themselves, you know? Who wouldn't want to set their own hours? Who wouldn't want to live 6 months of the year in Barcelona, 3 months in California, and 3 in Melbourne, or like whatever? Like there's actually no limits. And I remember early on I was like, oh, I want to do the location independent thing.
Yep.
Like, remember, like that was a buzzword only. I haven't heard that word in a long time now.
Yeah, now it's all lifestyle business.
Yeah, exactly.
Means the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, new word, same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to do that after reading the 4-Hour Work Week. And then, you know, in the last 6 months, I really realized how much I value in-person coaching and contact.
Yeah, awesome. Great. And so could you share a story where, you know, you may have failed forward? So I think failure is always encouraged in the entrepreneur space. And, you know, some people can see that as a way of, you know, getting down. But, you know, these days I think we're reframing that as a way of kind of getting yourself back up and taking the learnings from it. Have you got a story to share in regards to that or an opinion on it?
Yeah, failing forward. Two things come to mind.
Share away.
Actually, I'm not so sure. Failure is fail forward, but I don't really even have that word failure in my vocabulary, to be honest.
Excellent. And that's a response that, you know, I hope that question leads to sometimes. So share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything... I think everything has a benefit. Like somehow, if in this world things are balanced, like, you know, they say like nature, the universe, physics is constantly seeking balance and ebbing and flowing, then for as many negatives you can see, there's always almost has to be as many positives that you possibly can't see.
Yeah.
Due to, you know, nervousness, heartbreak, anger, frustration, resent. You're only connecting to a certain way of looking at things, and you're just simply disconnecting from looking at the benefits. So to give you an example, I have a practice that I call your daily dose of fat. So
okay.
FAT is an acronym. So I first started this appreciation practice.
Cool.
And then I, just for the sake of having a cool name, then I was like, it's kind of like functional appreciation because it actually helps you function better in my experience. And then I was like, well, it's a technique. So I thought functional appreciation technique, FAT.
Cool.
So
love it.
have you had your daily dosage of fat?
I'll add that to my acronym list. It's growing very largely these days.
Exactly. And so most mornings and nights I journal for 5 to 15 minutes, and I do this technique. If there's something I've had a negative like a negative charge towards, I will use it on that. If there's nothing, then I will just pick absolutely anything, like hands, for instance, or I bought a $10 IKEA rack. I appreciated that. And so the technique goes like this. You look for 3 things. You look for what that item or that experience enables you to do. What's the benefit of it? And how does it make you feel? Cool. So I've used this for, I've used this in a time of heartbreak. I've used this in times of procrastination. I've used this in times of wanting to, just be happier. And let's take our hands, for instance. So I might just think about all the things that my hands enable me to do. So they enable me to type on the computer. They enable me to pick up this glass and drink this glass. They enable me to dance because I dance. They enable me to cut food and prepare really nutritious food. I'm able to hold hands with my girlfriend. I'm able to play basketball, surf. And so that's the immediate uses. Yep. But then you think about, okay, what are the benefits, or how do any of those things make me feel? Well, when I'm holding my girlfriend's hand and we're going for a walk, I feel really connected to her. And when I feel connected to her, then I'm experiencing more happiness and I'm more present. And when I'm more present and happier, then we have better conversation. And when we have better conversation, we're opening up more space for love to evolve and for us to evolve as two people together. And then, as you know, you don't just leave a certain part of your life, let's say work or relationship, and then go to your next relationship. And some people can, block certain things out and do that. But for me, I really take what's happening now into everything. So if I've had a beautiful, day with my girlfriend, then I'm much more likely to be present and motivated in the work that I'm doing. Yeah. Or for a coaching session, or I just show up better. Yep. And so it's just like the ways that it just constantly goes up and up and up. Yep. Imagine not being able to speak. So you and I, our income is directly tied to having vocal cords, having a tongue, having a jaw, having a diaphragm, and being able to make sounds that form words. Yeah. Our income is directly tied to that. And people just it's just a different way of looking at things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I love that story, and Razor community really understand that. I guess the saying's always been to stop and smell the roses, but now it's actually to take it one step deeper and appreciate all the elements that rose gives, whether it be the look, the smell, the beauty. Yeah. And I think, what you've shared is a bit of an eye-opener for myself as well, so thank you, because you're right. I don't stop and appreciate the things that naturally allow me to create an income, or, where the hands or the voice. I've never really thought of it like that. And I think in a world where everything is materialistic and driven from that space, we tend to try and put appreciation to either a person or a thing that we have, or an object like a car and so forth, where maybe it's not necessarily the materialistic objects that we need to be in appreciation of. It's the actual hands and feet that allow us to drive that car. So I really love the way that you've shared that. It's definitely, made me think differently, and I know the Razor community will benefit from what they've just heard. So thank you for sharing that. And that's the reason why I started this show, because I wanted to share what everyone kind of knows and bring a community together where we're all sharpening each other's swords to be better versions of ourselves. So that's fantastic. So is there a book or a podcast or something that you've listened to or read that's kind of changed your life?
Yeah, as far as books go, 3 come to mind. One is Getting Naked by Patrick Lencioni.
Yep.
The other one is another one is How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy by Paul Chek, which is kind of like the Bible for movement and nutrition in a really easy to understand way and personalized way. And the other is Money and the Law of Attraction by Jerry and Esther Hicks.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. I think they're all great books. I haven't read all of them. I've read the last one, and I followed a lot about the law of attraction. Definitely, know that it's something that can and does work. So, there are skeptics out there and so forth, but I definitely know that whatever I've put my mind to and believed and conceived it always has kind of achieved and come forward, which is great. is there a time in your life where you felt defeated, and what happened, and what did you do to get out?
Defeated. At the start of the year, I connected with quite a bit of emotional pain that I could see was there, but had never actually felt it.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It's kind of like you can see someone pretend to, like, you know, throw a punch. You can look at them and, oh, that would hurt. But it's a different thing if you stand in front of them and let them punch you. Yeah. So I connected with some pain that, from my perception, I had carried from very early childhood into now. And what I did was I did the appreciation technique. And to me, there aren't too many things you can't use it on. So I was very emotionally, like, in pain. And my mum, being the awesome person she is, she said to me, what's the benefit to experiencing this pain in relation to work, for example? So I'm a coach, and, you know, it's of benefit for me to really experience the different conditions of being a human. And I'd never experienced that much pain in my life before. And so all of a sudden I was like, well, the benefit is now I know how some other people feel, or I've got an idea of the pain that other people do feel, because I hadn't felt that before.
Yeah.
And so, so then it's just the technique again. What's the benefit to understanding and being able to empathize with more people? Well, I can help more people. I can connect to more people. Okay, what happens when I help more people? Well, I receive more value back, because for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every piece of value, for every magnitude of the value that I put out there, I get back somehow. You just have to be open to it.
Yeah.
So it's like I help more people. Then I can make more money. Then I can travel. I could pay for another coach or a mentor, or invest in a program. And it's just the wheel of life. You just use the wheel of life. There's 12 areas of your life. It's just one way to break down areas of your life. And all of a sudden, I was still feeling this pain, a little bit less. And the amazing thing that happened was I was like, okay, there's something good to come from this.
Yeah, good. And I think that's great, where you can grab an experience, something that you learn, and apply that to the clients that you're helping and so forth. So it's almost like the more you kind of learn, the more you can help your clients be better, and more value that you can add to them. So that's great. And the wheel of life, that's a interesting concept in itself. Do you want to explain to the Razor community a little bit more, just easy model of what that actually is? Because I know what it is, but maybe there's some listeners out there that don't know, and I think it's a great analogy and a good way of approaching life.
Yeah, sure. So it's just 12 areas of your life, and it's a common coaching tool to really just see where you're at. Sometimes you might rate it 0 to 10 and then ask, what would a 10 look, feel, smell, taste like? The areas are money / finances, career, romantic partner, health, spirituality, family, social connection, personal development, fun and relaxation. There's 12. I think that was about 10, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I guess scaling each one from a 1 to 10, you basically draw a wheel, divide it up into 12, and you can kind of colour in what strength you are at each one. And the aim of it is to get the wheel as round as possible, because otherwise if you're a 1 at one area but a 10 on another area, your ride becomes very bumpy as that wheel kind of turns around. So I kind of like that organicness of growing the circle from the inside out, and it definitely, as an entrepreneur, can help you realize what areas you need to work on. So there's no point being a 10 in finance but a 1 on love and romance, and so like your life is not fully enriched equally. And I like that analogy, and that and I have seen it a lot in personal development courses and so forth. Kristian, let's jump in a little bit more about what you do and techniques and so forth. These days I'm seeing a much increased level of holistic approach to business. So, you know, in the past it's always been about hustle hard, 18 hours, work, and put other things second. What's your opinion on that? You know, now we're seeing a lot of entrepreneurs who are openly admitting that they meditate, or they take retreats, or they do 2 months a year away from business and so forth to enjoy life. What's your take on that approach to business as opposed to that hustle hard and become exhausted?
Yeah, sure. I love that, because I think, to me, if you want to call them holistic entrepreneurs, you know, spiritual entrepreneurs, and not even that, just entrepreneurs that are balanced, that meditate, that have an appreciation practice. To me, this almost has to be the way forward. I don't. Yeah.
Do you think it's always been there, though? Do you think people have always done it, but they've done it in silence, and now they're feeling more comfortable to actually promote what they're doing?
Potentially. I've never thought about that, but I definitely think there's a movement of, you know, and a movement and acceptance of self-help, and you don't have to grind 25 hours of a 24-hour day type of thing. Yeah. And the one part of the work I do right now is work with the reptilian brain. Mm-hmm. And the reptilian brain has three needs to satisfy. The first is safety. Yep. The next one is sustenance, so food and water. And the third one is sex, so procreation of the species. Yep. So those, and we have, our brain is, amongst other ways, divided into reptilian, mammalian, and human brain. So the interesting thing is, when the reptilian brain is not satisfied and kicks into overdrive, the neocortex, the human brain, is actually neurologically shut off. Wow. So the human brain is responsible for creating things, creating technology, creating languages, cultures, societies, creative solutions, advanced problem solving. So these are things that we really need in the world right now. We need them individually, and we need that as humanity. We need to be as creative and solving problems as quickly, in the best way, and as efficiently as possible. But the thing is, the reptilian brain shuts that capacity off. Now, we don't have, in Australia anyway, we don't have threats. We don't have safety threats. Like, if you think about a reptile that wakes up in the morning and comes out from the tree or the hole or whatever, it literally scans its visual field, uses its senses, the vibration, smell, to see, is anything around me a threat? Mm. And then if it's not, if it feels safe, then it moves on to food and water. So we don't walk out and think, oh shit, like, is something going to kill me? No, I know I don't. I know my friends don't. It's safe to say most Australians don't. But we have rent to pay. I have rent to pay in this house. I have food that I need to eat. So those are reptilian basic needs. And if we start worrying about paying the rent, if we start worrying about, am I going to have enough to put food on the table for me and my family, that's a reptilian fear. That's a reptilian drive and need. And so, to me, anytime someone is in the reptilian brain thinking, shit, how am I going to make rent this week? How am I going to get enough clients? Shit, I need to make this sale because I need money. I need food. They're in the reptilian brain. And when you're in the reptilian brain, you're in the now, yay, but you're in the now to survive. Yeah. So I like to say, a plan made on scarcity, when you're feeling scarce and you make a plan, that's a survival plan. It's not a plan that will help you thrive. It's a survive. I need to just survive moment to moment, because that's a fight, flight, freeze, or facade. So freeze is you just like, what do I do? You just don't do anything. Yeah. Instead of working on your business, you're like, fuck, I've got no clients, got no whatever. facade is you pretend to be something else, essentially, because you want to disconnect from yourself. And then another important part about that is once we do have those reptilian needs satisfied, the mammalian brain is the part of the brain responsible for love, support, empathy, connection. And I don't generally make this as like a convincing point, but it's very interesting to me that you never see viral videos on YouTube of snakes and lizards doing like cuddly, warm things, do you?
No.
It's dogs, cats, sometimes dogs and cats interacting together. Like I saw one like a rhino and like a deer or something, a rhino and a sheep, like interacting, playing together.
Yeah.
And so it's mammals that have that capacity for love. So the interesting thing is we want to advance past the reptilian brain, and it has healthy features, but so that we can be in both the mammalian brain, love, support, empathy, and the human brain, advanced creativity, advanced problem solving. And the reptilian brain is the brain of, because you need to figure out, okay, is that a threat? Is that a threat? Is that a friend? Is that a threat? Is that a friend? It's the realm of separation. So we have to look at that thing or that person and go, that person is separate from me. Are they going to attack me or am I safe? So to me, that's when we that's why one of the reasons why war happens is because we'd go back into the reptilian brain for whatever reason, because we feel maybe someone just threatened us in the first place.
Yeah.
And then we start to distinguish between us and other, and it's the realm of I've got to get mine. I'm not going to look out for you. Whereas if you just look at and the funny thing about that is that reptilian drive is created to me from the human brain. So in the middle is the mammalian brain, love, support, empathy, connection, where you see all the time on YouTube and Facebook these videos of different mammals interacting together, but they couldn't care. They couldn't care that it's a cat and it's a dog, or it's and they just, from what we perceive, are loving, caring, connected to each other.
Yeah, awesome. I think that, this is just amazing what you've been able to share. I know, time is of an essence in this show, but I think it'd be very powerful being around some of your coaching calls and also your seminars and events, because if this is what you're sharing in 5-10 minutes, imagine what a day workshop or a day with yourself can really unlock. I wish we saw more of this in corporate. I feel like in the corporate space, there's a lot of that self-protection and people, wanting to do things to make themselves stand out, and not that co-creation of how can we work together to be better and so forth. So I love that share and that knowledge that you've just instilled in myself and also the Razor Sharp community.
Can I add something to that?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so with that, what was I going to say? A message popped up, like I'm on my phone, and a Facebook message popped up, and I lost my train. Yeah, to me, that's very important in the corporate world, because if we're driven by needing to make enough money, and as we know, making enough money is an internal thing. Like there's, you hear a classic story of millionaires, billionaires who just fret because they feel like they're going to lose their money. So they're constantly worrying about losing their money. And they're great. They have millions and billions of dollars, which is amazing, because to me that's potential to impact and do great things. But if they're constantly worrying, then they can't access that creativity, that love, that empathy, that support. And one of the things that's helped me do is this appreciation practice. So the appreciation practice directly ties into being able to satisfy the reptilian brain and ascend to more functioning in the mammalian and human brain.
Yeah, right.
And what it's helped me do is be more present, because instead of thinking to myself, oh man, like I really need, let's say I'm in front of a prospective client face-to-face or on Skype. Instead of thinking, oh, I need to get this client, I'm turning up already feeling like, hey, I've got enough.
Yeah.
And how can I just show up, and like it's written on this awesome personalized wristband, show up, be present.
Yeah. Right.
And I just show up and be present, and think, how can I just help this person? And that's I believe whether you do show up and help someone that's driven from the reptilian brain, if you do that, I still think that is felt and comes across differently.
Yeah, I agree. And in my experience as well, I know with other coaching and self-development and business development, there's always been this argument of coming from a space of abundance as opposed to scarcity. And it's very similar with what you shared today in regards to, if it comes from scarcity, it definitely does come out differently. It has a different vibration, and it almost can come across as a little bit desperate, and is like, oh, I need this quote to come through. And I think these days, people are a little bit more self-aware. They can kind of pick up on energy and vibration and so forth. So when you come from a space of scarcity, that definitely is present in everything that you do. Where if you come from a space of abundance to kind of say, well, I don't need this, I'm here to help, and if I can add value, I will, and so forth. It definitely does show a different energy. And you're right where you say, like, it will just naturally happen more, and you'll win more jobs, you'll win more clients, because you're coming from a space of abundance and not scarcity. So excellent. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's been very, very good, very detailed, and I love the fact that you're sharing some good golden nuggets with the Razor Sharp community today. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to jump into the Razor Sharp round, so I'm going to throw a few questions to you and just answer them as quickly and as possible. So cool. So who's someone who's been a mentor for you?
JP Sears.
Yeah. And okay, cool. And do you want to go a little bit more into that? Who is that? And just because maybe the community won't know who that is.
Yeah, JP is an inner and emotional coach. Many people know him as the guy on YouTube who does how to be ultra spiritual funny videos.
Okay.
But he's actually a genius emotional coach, and he's been a good friend for the last 5 years.
Awesome. Perfect. So what's one thing that you know now that you wish you knew 5 years ago?
Oh, that's a great question. One thing I know now. Let's come back to that.
All right, no problems. So I know you're quite young, but how many business ventures have you honestly been through over the last?
I would say one, but it's changed faces. So I started my own coaching work in 2010.
Yep.
And it started out as corrective exercise, nutrition, and now it's more around helping people create confidence and become more free, more present, create more money in their life.
Awesome, great. And I just want to add value there as well. So this is a good example to the Razor community where sometimes you don't need to close a business down and change it and move it into something else. You can what's known as pivot. So I think what you've kind of done there is, as the years have progressed, you've seen different needs, you've changed as a person. So you've just pivoted your coaching business. It still falls under coaching, but you've gone into different verticals and niche down. There are a lot of large businesses that have pivot stories behind them. There's actually a book written on the topic, and I believe even YouTube was a story where initially it was intended for something else, and then a pivot. Facebook as well was really originally around for communities around universities, and then went more global and unstoppable. So don't be afraid to pivot in your business, because I think that's when you can realize that there's still a need and what you're doing is great, but you just need to change what you're doing and correct the course, I guess. If there's one thing that you could change in the world right now, what would it be?
The other day I said this, it would be to eliminate newspapers and news And I mean, that's a pretty outrageous. I think that's pretty outrageous.
But I agree with you. I agree with you, just quietly.
Yeah, but you could just simply do, change it to only stories of good, for example. I don't have a TV, but I was at my friend's the other day and it came up, the news flash of what they're gonna show in 5 minutes time. And it was 4 or 5 back-to-back stories of death, some abuse, and it was just all around death, abuse, and negative things happen.
That's it, a nice dose of negativity. And I'm the same. There's a TV in the background. I'm in the process of moving, but we are definitely moving without the TV. We only stream movies these days. We cut out the ads. I don't read newspapers. I made the conscious decision about 5 years ago to do the same. Just unsubscribe to the media and the news, because it is, of a one particular version of the story, and it's biased and so forth. So, it's just a personal choice. It doesn't work for everyone. There's some people who literally thrive on being up to date and knowing what's happening around the world. But I rather much, focus my effort on changing the world that I have and created, and the people that I can influence and so forth. And if the news story is great enough, it tends to get to me anyway. I don't need to subscribe at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock every night to get that dose. So I still know what's happening. But
I feel the same. But here's an interesting thing: whenever we see stories of killings, of rape, bombings, terrorists, guess where that puts us?
Yeah,
reptilian brain.
That's it.
So it's like a mass projection of, or it's like almost a mass brainwashing of people, putting them into the reptilian brain so that they're always thinking survive, survive, survive. I would love, imagine a month without the news, or just at least only heartwarming love, empathy stories. I mean, it's not balanced. Yes, there's things that happen like murder, but it'd just be so interesting because it's so skewed in one ridiculous direction.
Yeah, and raise a community. If you're sitting on the fence and don't really know whether the news does play a part, take up a 30-day challenge. See what it can actually do to your life when you do be a bit more selective of what goes in your eyes and your ears and into your mind. Because I'm a very big believer of challenges, and to get yourself outside of your comfort zone or comfort cage, as you called it before. But I think it's see what it does for you. It may not work, but at least that way you've tested it and you know where you sit in that world. What's a piece of advice that you're very grateful for receiving?
One that I constantly received from very, we'll just say, successful people who have got a thriving coaching business, like doing what most entrepreneurs want to do, living life on their terms, was this: what you appreciate appreciates. And I never got that until I read the book Money and the Law of Attraction and started practicing the technique that I kind of tweaked, that I've tweaked myself. So it'd be that, but
yeah, that's a good one. I love that, because there's another iteration of that as well. Is like what you permit, you promote. So kind of what you allow to happen, or you get more of it. And in your example, it's like what you appreciate, you get kind of more of it, because there's that good understanding of why and what you have. So that's great. Is there a bit of advice that was bad advice that you've ever received?
I think the worst, I wouldn't say there's such thing as bad advice. There's advice. I don't know. First of all, I don't know if I agree with what I just said, which happens a lot. I'm happy to say something and say, hey, I don't actually know if I agree with this, but I'm just putting it out there. But maybe there isn't such thing as bad advice, but maybe the worst thing you can do is just take advice as gospel, or take it on too easily and not actually check in, is this true for me, and does it resonate, and actually explore it a little bit more.
Yeah, I love that as well because, I think these days with the amount of information overload that there is, it's very easy to fall into that trap of listening to this, watching this video, hearing that, and almost taking it for gospel. I definitely, as an entrepreneur, you need to kind of get techniques, apply them. And that's why, before I said, let's do a challenge, see whether cutting out the media works for you. Just because someone else may have said it doesn't necessarily mean that it works for you in the time that you are in your life. Quitting a day job, it may be the right thing to do, but timing is important. And so don't grab the advice of someone that says you need to hustle 18 hours a day and think that that's where you need to be to benchmark success. Because there are other people who hustle 4 hours a day and have just as much and as equal success. So, you really need to test and measure what works for you. And, I love that. It's like, don't take every bit of advice as it is, really apply it to work to yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you just said. And timing is the thing. When people give advice, they can give it based on what they would do, what they have done. But often, sometimes if they give it on what they would do, it's what they would have done in hindsight. Or sometimes it's what they did do, but now they're in a different place. So I think it's really important to know the place that you're in and the place that the person giving the advice is in. Because if they're in a different, phase of what they're doing, their advice might not apply to you. Or on the other hand, they might actually be able to see through the mud better than you can.
Yep, absolutely. And one thing I've learned over the years is not to compare someone's later to your now. So there's always a journey that entrepreneurs go through, and often they tend to share their success after the journey that may have been 5, 10, 15 years. And so many people get into the business world, entrepreneur world, and they think, I need to have what they have now. And there is no delayed gratification. We've kind of lost that appreciation of, if I work now and do the tough now, it will eventuate to some really great things down the track. And I think society has moved us to wanting things now on demand, and the delayed gratification has been lost. But often I've even been guilty of this myself, where I see someone on YouTube and like, I need that. That's where I want to be tomorrow. But that's been 10 years of their life and their journey. So very, very important. Now, what's your favorite productivity hack?
The daily dose of fat.
Cool. Excellent.
I just realized, I've talked about that so much, but it is the perfect tool for procrastination. And it's like, if you've got invoices there, or you've been stalling about getting to a yoga studio. You've been stalling about reaching out to people. You just go through, what's the benefits of reaching out to people? What's the benefits of doing these invoices? Well, it makes more connections, or it takes time off my hands. It takes stress off my hands. Well, if I'm less stressed, then I'm more present. When I'm more present, I'm more creative. When I'm more creative, This goes on and on.
Success breeds success.
Yeah.
Open the gates of creativity and co-creation, I say.
I could give you another one on that.
Yeah, sure.
Operate within your natural seasons, your natural cycles.
Oh, yes, I love this. I've seen a video of this about yourself. Please share this because I love this.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that I actually shared with someone this morning, and for me it rings really true. And I'll try and make this succinct. We're living in Australia. Every country on this earth experiences a change in seasons. We go through summer, autumn, winter, spring. So no matter where you are, you can't escape that. And to me, we have internal seasons. So animals naturally are in tune with the seasons. They just operate on seasons and other animal things. Whereas we are at the mercy of the 3 Ps of modern Western society: productivity, profit, progression. That's what modern society at large, just generalizing, values. Productivity, progression, profit. So we've created this this system, that we wake up and we have to be on straight away. And then we come home and we have to be off. And there's no middle ground. Whereas if you look at the seasons and if you think about having internal seasons, right? So summer is the hottest season. And heat in physics and in energy equals the most activity. Winter is the coldest. In physics, energy, different systems, it equals the least action, the least activity. Spring is going from winter to summer. So spring is a transition, and autumn is summer to winter. So our winter is sleeping. Our summer is the middle of the day when the sun is literally the highest, and the sun actually creates, when the sun is at its highest, it creates more hormones, more chemicals in our body to excel at doing things. In between, in the morning, we've got spring when we're warming, the earth is literally getting warmer from the night. We're waking up. So that's the time to actually wake up and take some time for yourself and take some time for breakfast or journaling or meditation. And then in the evening, wind down. Like, we've got people who turn the TV off at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and they're tired and wired. They're overstimulated. They don't take time to turn the TV off. If you watch it 8 or 9 o'clock and, read a book, draw, journal, listen to some music. And so instead, we need all of that to function at our peak continuously. But instead, we try to punch the clock at 6:30 a.m. and jump out of bed, shower, eat in the car, and do that just at maximal productivity throughout the day. No, we're designed to wake up, build up, and then go through the peak of our day in our afternoon and evening, come down and do it all again. It's a cycle of sustainability. It's just self-sustainability. But if you ignore that, your body breaks down. You get chronic fatigue. You get angry. You get irritable. You have sometimes personality disorders. It can go very far. Yeah. And my advice would be operate based on the seasons. I've worked with people who are like, I've got no motivation. This doesn't feel like me. I'm so productive. I'm such a hard worker. I'm like, your body is just put you into autumn and winter because you need to be, because our body runs itself. Like, we don't think about how our heart beats. Yeah. Our body runs itself, and I believe often that our body is sometimes smarter than our brain, knows a bit more about how to survive and thrive. And listen to that. So one of the worst things that you can do is when you're tired and you're like, fuck, I've got to get to this. Like, I've been tired for 3 days and this isn't me. Be tired for 3 days. Accept the tiredness. Yeah. And don't try to fight it. The farmer doesn't try and make summer go faster, or doesn't try to get out of winter. A farmer knows the seasons and they work with it. So, yeah. And that's how they excel. So work with the natural cycles and rhythms of your day, and your productivity, your efficiency, your happier things will increase. The ease at which you do things will greatly improve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely love this story. When I first saw your video about this, I think I reached out and thanked you for sharing it. I actually wrote a blog about it, as well as about, too many times people manage their time, where really we need to start managing our energy. Know when your energy peak states are, get in the zone when that happens. And I think corporate Australia is moving towards this with flexi hours and so forth, where people can go into the office and work when they're more productive. I don't think we've done enough as a society to move people into that that realm of working when is best for you. But there's been a lot of research of late, and I think, the story that you share, and I think it's just going back to kind of, it seems a bit, I don't know, it seems a bit weird to say this, but it's almost like kind of like common sense. You look, I think your video said, like, if you look at an animal wake up, a cat doesn't just wake up and bounce into doing its day. It kind of just wakes up, it enjoys the sun, it soaks up the morning, it understands what it needs to do. It slowly eats somehow, and then it just gets on with its day. And the body and the human race is the same. We over the centuries we've kind of lost this. We've moved into this area of do more, faster. And I think one thing that I'm learning as I'm getting older is to slow down and just let go and let the universe do what it needs to do. It always works itself out. And what happens is you tend to arrive there with much more energy and with much more satisfaction. So I really appreciate you sharing that story again. So thank you very much. We may leave that as the parting advice, because I think it's a good one to end on. Kristian, I wanted to thank you very much for coming onto the show and sharing what you know and how you do your day, and your coaching advice is priceless. So thank you for that. How can people reach out and get in contact with you?
Great question. Right now, I would love people to find me on Facebook.
Awesome.
As a friend, not even as my business page. I get far more engagement on my personal page. So Kristian, Kristian. I'm sure you're going to say this, Stephan-Martin, Stephan-Martin. Just friend request me, and you can say, hey, I saw you on the Razor Sharp show, and that would be awesome. And
open the dialogue and see where it goes. Thank you very much. All the links will be in the show notes of the different things that you've spoken about, and also the link to your Facebook. Kristian, the Razor Sharp family would love to thank you for being a guest on the show. So thank you very much for coming on and sharing what you know.
You're welcome.
Excellent. So remember, Razor Sharp community, to always keep learning and to stay razor sharp. Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 003. To see all the links and stuff that we spoke about today with Kristian, head over to the razorsharpshow.com/003. There you'll have all the links to everything we spoke about and how to get in contact with Kristian. Now it's time for you to apply what you have learned. That is how we sharpen our own saws. Remember, the Razor Sharp Show was created to create a community of people teaching each other and sharpening each other's saw. This is how we remain razor sharp. So until the next episode, always be learning and stay sharp.